even though we're in a different environment, even though we're separated from each other, we're still a champion of inclusion. We're still committed to making people part of this community.
Hi everyone, welcome to this month's edition of Inside Inclusion. I'm Sam.
And I'm Max. We're both U.S. Youth Ambassadors from Michigan.
We have a special guest with us today. He's here to talk with us about Special Olympics and Best Buddies Spread the Word campaign. Soeren is the co-founder of the campaign and has empowered thousands to make a pledge to spread the word of inclusion.
Soeren, hey, we are so happy to have the Spread the Word expert with us. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to talk to you guys today. Thanks for having me.
Before we jump in, do you mind giving us a little background?
Yeah, we'd love to learn a little more about your inspiration, your motivation, and your goals. How'd this all start and grow into the amazing campaign that it is today?
That's a good question, and to be honest, it's because of the hard work of a lot of people. A little bit of background on me. So I have a younger sister with an intellectual disability, and so from a young age, I had the advantage, really, of growing up in an inclusive environment and seeing how much better the world is when people who are different from us are part of our lives. And on the other hand, I also saw very closely the intense stigma, dehumanization, exclusion, bullying faced by people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, like my sister Olivia. So I grew up trying to reconcile or put those two things together. And I would look around and be like, what? You people don't get it. You don't get how great this is to have someone like this in your life. And so that was me growing up. And when I was a high school student, part of this really crystallized around the R word. And what I saw, this was back in the mid-2000s, what I saw was this word really was like a shorthand, was like a shortcut for people to communicate how much hurt they wanted to cause people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so in 2008, 2009, we founded our Spread the Word to End the Word campaign. It was very focused on trying to eliminate the use of the R word. And over time, what we realized was it was working. That there were a lot of people who said, I hadn't thought about language in this way. I'll embrace this. I'll use my words to make more inclusion rather than exclusion. And as people came back year after year, they said, what more can I do? Over the past couple of years, we have grown the campaign beyond Spread the Word to End the Word to be Spread the Word Inclusion. And what that is a campaign calling on everyone to commit to an act of inclusion. I'm going to embrace this and sit by someone I don't know. I'm going to find someone who's different from me in the hallway. I'm going to find a new friend in a class, in my office, in the park. I'm going to embrace difference somehow. And that's really the goal of Spread the Word.
So Soeren, why is language important when we talk to, with, or about other people? Why should we use inclusive and respectful language?
It's a good question, Sam, because some people would say words are just words. You say them and they sort of float away and they disappear. So what's the big deal? Based on my own experience, a lot of times we don't remember the scrapes or the cuts or the bruises that we get, but we really remember the words that people have used towards us. Language shapes attitudes, and attitudes shape behaviors. So if we want a world where people are behaving in a way that is inclusive, we should look at the words that we use. You can also listen to people, often who have an intellectual or developmental disability, who say, when I hear that word, when someone uses the R word, let's take that as an example. When someone uses the R word towards me, it causes me incredible pain. I feel like I'm less than a person. I feel like I don't belong. Why would we want someone else to feel that way? We don't we don't want anyone to feel that way. And if the cost is changing the words that we use, that's a price we should be willing to pay. We should be willing to be thoughtful about the words that we use to not cause that much pain in someone else. And I think it's on each one of us to make that decision and to be mindful of the words that we use for that reason.
It's very important to use inclusive language and not make assumptions about people. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I totally agree. Using disrespectful language can make people feel excluded and that they don't belong. Using respectful language can make people feel welcomed and bring people together and improve the school spirit. Especially right now, with being in quarantine, school spirit can be super hard. So by using positive language towards students and classmates, it can really help boost the pride and help everyone feel they are included.
You bring up a good point, Sam. Connecting with others is really important. Special Olympics has helped me make connections and feel included. Sam, how did you get involved with Special Olympics?
I first got involved when my brother went to the 6th grade and entered the middle school. They started a unified club and I wanted to be with him when he was competing. Max, didn't you join when you were younger?
I started a long time ago when I was about 8. My friend was in Special Olympics at the time. I thought it looked fun. I was a shy person. I wanted to be a part of something that would help me be more outgoing.
Soeren, what about you?
Yeah, so I like to say two things. One is as a older brother of someone with a disability. I think it's been something that I've been a part of almost my entire life, from as long as I can remember. And also, so with Special Olympics, when I was a college student, a couple of friends of mine and I, we founded a Special Olympics club at our school and started a unified soccer team, a unified basketball team. We had a lot of unified teams on campus, and it was, not only was it a ton of fun, it was a lot of fun, but we could also see the change in our classmates who became involved, in the members of the community who were involved, and I'm really proud to say that it's still going today, and I think it's had a lot of impact on people over the years since then. How about you, Max? What steps have you taken?
I started the school's unified team, the Huskies, all in male, and the first thing I did was spread the word on announcements to get it out there. We had a meeting and people wanted to join. It was an awesome experience.
I also started my school's unified team at the high school level. We didn't have one at that level yet. I wanted to have a kind environment for when my brother came to the high school after me, and I also wanted to create a group of friends for the athletes that were already there.
Soeren, spread the word is more than just starting clubs and teams. It's about taking small action and building habits too. What are some simple ways we can spread the word in our lives, in our schools, and in our communities?
It's a good question, Max, and I think an important one. I would say two things. One is that each of us can take action. Each of us can find someone who is left out, can find someone who is excluded, and we can be the friend. We can be the bridge. I mean, so many of us are apart from each other right now. We're distanced from each other right now. Who is in your class, in your community, who's the one who's left out? Reach out and make sure that they're not. The second place, and this is what's really important, is how can you get other people to do that too? I like to say that Spread the Word has thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of co-founders. Every single time one person is able to inspire inclusive action by someone else, Spread the Word is co-founded all over again. Because that's where I think young people can be such a potential for change. Because we see it every day.
Those are really good ideas.
I agree, Sam. What advice do you have for someone who wants to make a difference but is unsure how to?
One thing I would suggest is to just get together with a group of peers and share what you believe in with one another. What do you think, Max?
My advice is to just try to take a chance in your community and do something that matters. Soeren, do you have any ideas?
One thing that I think is important is that we don't hide it. We should think, do the people around me know that this is important to me? And if the answer is either no or I don't know, we should try to fix that. No one should have to think twice about whether they can come to you and be included. So that's what I would say. I think that even now, when can we all get together in the same place? Maybe not, but it might be that much more important than for us to make it so obvious that this is important. To make it so obvious that even though we're in a different environment, even though we're separated from each other, that we're still a champion of inclusion and that we're still committed to making people part of this community. That's what I would say.
Between school and social media, we are spending a lot of time in our online communities. How can we make sure to create positive social connections and build a more inclusive environment online?
People may be feeling more down than usual these days. It would be good to talk to others about how you are feeling. Following positive accounts helps too.
Adding on to what Max just said, even just reaching out to people you've never talked to before can be a powerful step, especially if they've been posting and you've noticed that they've been feeling down. Reach out and check in.
Soeren, do you think it is possible to spread the word and build online connections?
I think so. I think that's the world that all of us live in. Each time we use one of these social media platforms or a tool to connect virtually, we are putting something out into the world. But I think each one of us can look at the profile, the identity, the content that we put online and say, how can I use this tool? How can I use this space to make sure that people feel and are included and valued and part of the communities, whether we build them in real life or in an online space?
What are some of the connections that mean most to you?
My mentor makes me feel really included. Everyone at my youth activation committee too. They've been involving me in the Zoom meetings and helping me be involved in different events like Unified Talks and Inside Inclusion.
I'd have to say I feel really connected to Sam. We have a good friendship and we continue to spread the word together. We do things like Unified Talks.
Aw, thanks Max. I feel connected with you too. We've definitely created a lasting and meaningful friendship. What about you, Soeren?
I would say it is, on the one hand, it's exciting, it's fulfilling, it's fun to be around people who have a similar passion for making the world a more inclusive place, for being a part of Special Olympics, of Best Buddies. It's also exciting to be around people who are new to it, who are at a different point of their journey. You can be, and when they think back a couple of years and say, where did all of this inclusion stuff start for me? Oh, it was Max, it was Sam, it was Soeren. I think that's really exciting too.
All right, one last question. Soeren, what is your favorite spread the word memory?
That's a good question. When I was a student, when I was in college, I was the one who was sitting at the table asking people to sign a pledge, and I was able to make the connections and change the school around me. That was something I really, really value.
We'd like to thank Soeren for hanging out with us today.
We'd like to thank you all too.
We hope you have a similar discussion with your peers and start or continue to spread the word of inclusion at your school and in your community.
Be sure to check out at Pledge to Include and at SO North America for ways you can spread the word online.
See you next time, Unified Generation.